everyone has talked about boxes, and one of the things that I'm really interested in is how do we consolidate these boxes, because it seems like it's more of a software question than a hardware question, and everyone has their, you know, if we look over the last 15 or 20 years, that's generally been the case. There's been multiple special purpose boxes, and then they consolidated down into PCs or you know whatever, as people have figured out how to write the software. And we try to get Apple on this panel, but you know they don't like to talk about anything that they're doing. But you know, like if you look at something like Apple TV, you know, or an iMac, when everyone is starting to use the iPhone to control it, and Google has their solution, etc. My question is, do we need all these specialized boxes? Do we really need Cisco's box? Do we really need Roku's box? Can't we just have a standard, call it a PC, whatever you want to call it, you know, a central processing device, and then everyone focuses, Roku and Cisco and everybody focuses on the software applications that they develop that are delivered via standard UI devices like the iPhone. Because, you know, there's a company called Savant that does this for the Macintosh now, you know, where you can have everything in your house, your HVAC and your windows and your shades and your TV and your music and everything controlled from your iPhone, right? Isn't that where we're going, whether it's a telepresence from Cisco or Jim? I don't know what happens to the Roku box in that situation.
Well, but I don't think Jim is in it completely to sell the box. He needs to start.
I think he probably has a service he might try to sell in the hardware.
Yeah,
anyway, that's my question.
So our model is no box. We're a software platform, right? Yahoo doesn't build hardware, right? Our software is embedded in the television you own, right? We went in with the premise day one, no box, for exactly that reason, right? So we're doing that now. Interesting enough, everyone keeps wanting to build a box of our software, and they're going to go do that. But but the whole premise is yes, that's true. But I can't tell you the amount of pain and suffering we endure to make that happen, and there's no doubt that a small company would not be able to endure the pain and suffering that we have to go through to go from proprietary hardware manufacturer to proprietary hardware manufacturer to proprietary hardware manufacturer down the chain and try to get them to, one, adopt a software platform that creates some ubiquity between them, that trying to get them to move towards, like you say, the fact that software is a technology that they need to start understanding, right? And it's not their core competency today. So there's a lot of growth and change that has to happen in the consumer electronics manufacturer space in order to get to that point. We are going to get there. It's going to take a while. They're going to do things to fight it off, like creating their own proprietary platforms that create what they think is differentiation and creates enormous pain and suffering for people who try to develop applications that they want to run across.
So in other words, this is a nasty jungle out here.
Yeah, it's going to evolve, but it's going to be painful.
Ruth Ann, who's a board member of Roview, has a play in this game too. It has a question. Ruth Ann, stand up.
Yeah. So.
Ask it loudly.
Yeah. The weird thing is in Silicon Valley we're used to kind of open, go for the internet, develop the best technology, develop the best software. Who cares, hardware, software, whatever, and just go for it and do it. The television business is the opposite of that. It is a totally oligopolistic business controlled by the service providers who control part of it and want their own box because they want to be in front of the consumer electronics manufacturers who have kind of a weak position where they have the screen but not much else. The other guys do the content to them. And the content providers who want to determine who gets to have their content, which is why you can't have one box. Because they'll say, well, I could do it on this one, but not that one, or I have an agreement with this guy, but not that guy. So we're used to the internet, where the best thing wins. This isn't like that. This is totally Byzantine. It's oligopolistic, and they don't want to give it up. You know, there's a reason Comcast owns most of the delivery vehicles to the living room. And now, now they own content. So I am not optimistic about it. I will tell you, I think that it has been ugly because of this. You can't let innovation thrive. You can't let what we've had happen. It has to kind of batter on this thing, and they get a little scared, but it's going to take a lot longer. It'd be a lot messier. That's why you got all these boxes. That's why on my Blu-ray, I can see some of the movies, but not all of them. I have to go to my Netflix screen. It's horrible.
Okay, so let me ask the panelists this question. 5 years from now, will you expect that there will be more boxes in our living room, genuinely boxes in our living room, or fewer boxes? More boxes. Raise your hand.
Software interfaces too, okay?
Yeah.
Because it could not be a box, but it could be 4 things on your screen delivering it.
Okay,
right?
so 5 years from now, I need you guys to vote.
More
5 years from now, hands up if you think there'll be more boxes.
More complexity.
More complexity.
More
I wouldn't say boxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jim, defend why there'll be less complexity in 5 years' time.
Well, I think that's on the right track, and this is a software issue, but there's these different boxes you have today are somewhat specialized, and so you take an Xbox 360 or PS3 is still a fairly expensive piece of hardware, so we can't make that for $60 today. Now there are some fabulous chips coming out from TI and Broadcom and others that are OpenGL accelerated and dual arms and all this stuff. You can begin to do an awful lot of that kinds of things in those chips, which is not quite there yet. You take video conferencing. The problem is you have a compression problem, and these chips are designed to decompress. So you need, the technology to evolve there. So we call it the one box to rule them all. The box that does everything. And I think we're just in a phase right now of the industry where all the pieces at the right price haven't come together to create that box. On top of the issue that the core box is not only proprietary, the cable box, but no one else is allowed to plug into that QAM signal. You can plug into the AP signal, but not the cable signal.
But
So
you think
there's-
we'll have less complexity in 5 years? We're going to solve all
I
this in
think
5 years?
by some kind, so there will be integration of devices, which will necessarily, I think, give you better, integration will give you more simplicity.
Okay.
I think there will be less complexity in 5 years. I agree with a lot of the points that are being made, but the truth is consumers vote, and they vote big because they vote with their wallet, and you saw that with 3D TV. They didn't go for it. And the truth is,
That hasn't stopped anyone at CES from trying to
But
sell
you
more
know,
3D TV.
Exactly, but you can't make a product successful if a consumer isn't going to actually love it. I think the most interesting thing will be if Apple truly does a TV and brings it into the living room, and it's a delightful device like the iPad. That may be a total game changer for everybody. The problem, and I think that it was pointed out, is the complexity of working with all the constituents that are trying to own part of the television makes it really challenging, which is why we basically do boxes to bypass everybody, right? So, but from a consumer standpoint, I mean, people look at a screen, and if it's complex, they're going to stop looking at it. They're not going to work through that model.
Zane, is Apple going to save us?
No.
We have it on record. Oh, sorry. Let him finish, and then we'll come to
No,
you.
please, it's okay.
Can you make the assumption that there's really two kinds of media? The media which is current or timely, which is news and things that are happening now, and media that's not time sensitive at all. And if you divide all the media into those two categories, doesn't that really simplify the whole process an awful lot? No?
No, I mean,
It helps. The evergreen, it helps you know where to focus. I think that's the one example.
I mean, we've got Al Jazeera streaming live from Egypt on our box today, and that's, then we also have movies from the 50s, and they're all in the same box, and they're all coming over the internet. So I think, I'm not sure that's a useful way to think about it or not.
It depends what you're trying to do, right? If you're trying to be a delivery platform, then maybe not so. Right? Then you're a delivery platform. The thing I was going to mention, because I think this idea of complexity, the consumer voting with their dollars, and your earlier question about should anyone invest in these kinds of companies in this space, all those things kind of tie together. And I think this is an unusual forum. Typically, we have to get up and sell our companies, right? Bash, but really go marketing. And I think this is a different audience and a chance to think about it in different ways. And so I think it's interesting to be more hypothetical and to actually say, okay, based on what we know, and that chances are consumers aren't really happy. We're not really happy. How hard, what a jungle the consumer electronics manufacturing world is, and the Byzantine oligopolistic practices that are true in content provider and service provider world. What should you do, right? Like, it's actually, that becomes interesting from a business perspective. Like, what would have been smart to have been doing 10 years ago? You know, what would have been smart to have even been doing 15 years ago? And, you know, look at the trajectory. Like, would it still be valuable in 10 years? And the truth is, there aren't really that many things that make sense to be doing that. After many years of, like I said, being a wrencher and making that stuff, like, I decided that building a database was one of those things. That the platforms come and go, the boxes come and go, the CPU the CPU accelerates in completely the CPU and compression technologies accelerate in completely incomprehensible ways. Like, you just can't imagine what's going to happen. Like, your example of like the hard drives, what hard drive space was then and now, it's true. It's like